Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of Reset with myself, Nadeem Khan. I am a futurist and author of People Analytics. I'm an industry writer. I write for the People Management and Entrepreneur magazine. And today we have a very, very special guest. I'll be introducing her. Her name is so just to before we give an introduction of the guest. So the concept of today's show is basically around the concept of today's show. Reset is around helping individuals grow in these turbulent times, which is the COVID-19, and everyone has difficulties that we're facing. And today our guest has been nominated for Forbes 30 Under 30. She has an immense, almost a decade of experience in technology, and we will be discussing everything around technology. So let me introduce to you Sadia Bashir. Now, Sadia is the founder of Pixel Arts Games Academy, which is Pakistan's first games academy. She's done her bachelor's and MS in computer sciences and has done research about game development practices in the industry in her master's research. And she has almost over a decade of experience and started Pixel Games Academy around 4 years ago, which is quite some time now. And she's apart from traveling the globe, she is a PGA. She has PGA in a training academy that teaches game development, design and production, arts and animation through collaborative learning experiences. She has also established a game lab at PGA to help developers to design and implement creative ideas. And again, she's listed as Forbes 30 Under 30 Enterprise Technology 2018, recognized as a global gaming citizen at the Game Awards in 2008 by Facebook Gaming. So I am now putting Sadia on the screen. Hello, Sadia. Welcome to Reset.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Nadeem, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you. I think the introduction was very short. We want to know more about you and the amazing work that you've done, being a Pakistani, making us proud, and I think becoming a global citizen. So I did mention that Reset is about individuals and about the problems that we are currently facing. There's a big digital disruption, and everyone's now working from home. And we know that you're working with some of the top companies to help them launch gamification. We've already had the conversation, but I want you to kind of help people out. So the first question is, our questions basically will revolve around technology, your journey, and more about how you feel that the future will evolve. So this is the theme, and we'll have a 20-minute discussion session, whereafter people can join in and ask questions in the later 30 minutes, later 10 minutes. So that equals the whole 30 minutes. So we won't take more of your time. So the first question is, how has your journey been like working in the industry and accomplishing what you have so far? Can you just talk us through where you started off from and how you became Sadia Bashir?
Thank you so much. So Nadeem, you gave a quite amazing introduction already, but I just want to add that, I am from a technology background, so getting into technology after graduation was not really something difficult for me. But there's one thing that I really want to add, that I was the first technology graduate in my entire family as well. So I was more familiar with the technology than anybody else. So and it was and I was also was the first graduate of women that went to university and graduated from there as well. So for me, the technology made a big impact in terms of making global connections, learning about the world, and then eventually, of course, traveling the world, going to different places, meeting people, making network, and actually bring those learning opportunities back to my country in Pakistan as well. So when I talk about my journey, there's one really important thing is that I was always fascinated by technology, and by technology I mean video games. So that's where my all interest came in. As in an early age, I used to play a lot of games, and then from my matriculation and graduation, and I choose to study computer science. And even when I was doing computer science, I was totally fascinated by the technology, but I didn't really have the idea where exactly I would be going. I mean, coming into the gaming field or become a gaming developer wasn't really always like the set goals that I have to do, but it's just like the games really interest me to actually learn more about computer science. And after my graduation, I started working full time. And at the same time, after 1 year, I started doing my master's along with my education as well. So I think while I was doing my master's and I was interviewing a lot of game studios to learning about how they make their games, and since I really was curious and I wanted to make my own games as well. However, I didn't find the opportunities of learning games that way, or learning the game development process, or being involved in a game development process fully, that I could say that I was learning. And that's some point that I felt like that maybe I should start some place where people can learn and explore the entire game development field and understand the game design processes, and then also make their own games. And that's where I started Pixel Art Games Academy in 2016.
Amazing.
For And that's why when I started working full time for Pixel Art. And the Pixel Art Games Academy is giving trainings for video game development, digital art animation, game design, narrative design, and all the relevant field to the video games. But at the same time, there's some different methodology of training, which is called collaborative learning experience, which I have talked about on plenty of platforms. That like this is something that we really love to experiment. That because video game development is a very diverse field. It's a field where you have programmers, you have artists, you have writers, you have so many people from different fields, from business to marketing. So all these people has to work together, and this is something that when we study in isolation, in our universities, when we study in a single field, you don't get to like really work with diverse fields. You don't get to mingle with MBA people, or
Yes.
maybe with the artists or developers as a working in a just technology field. And that's where that it just lacks, that you, when you work in games, you have to be really good at communication, you have to be really good at working with diverse set of people. So that's where the collaborative learning comes in, where it actually helps you to work together and learn together with different set of people with different skills and with different mindsets. And that's make it more interactive and more immersive in terms of bringing the creative ideas and letting people work. And it's been amazing, but it's also challenging as well, because people are not really used to working like that. And people,
Yes.
when a collaborative in a collaborative learning environment, it's like it's open for you to make experiments and go through failure and understand what did you do right and what did you went wrong and everything. But that has been a great journey, and we have been working on improving and learning from our from our own experience, and we are still working on that. And we also work on developing our own game products. So we have worked on one of our a recent product which is in the soft launch right now, called Travel Dose. So it's a gamification of tourism, where we are trying to create a gamified travel experience, a mobile app which work as your travel companion. So
Wow.
we are still working on that, but due to COVID, there's so much changes that happen that we're currently really shifting strategy of what we have developed in past 1 year and where we're going to do in the next 1 year.
Amazing, amazing. So that's a brief background of gamification. I think this links a lot when you talk about collaborative learning. I now want to shift the idea of, okay, so organizations are now going online, right?
Yeah.
And you yourself are an entrepreneur, myself an entrepreneur. We have people who are working, either we're working in teams. What's the difficulty that you're facing, and how do you think that I think technology will shift this? Do you have some ideas of what that would look like, and what are this, probably if you can talk about some of the skill sets or some of the technologies that people should be embracing now, which previously, you talked about, we had face-to-face interaction so we could see the emotions, but how
Yeah.
do you think technology will shift this? And we also had a chat about online learning modules that you were talking about, bite-sized learning modules, all of
Yeah.
this coming in together. Can you give us some insights on this, please?
So yes, definitely. So yeah, this is a very big change for a lot of people. Working remotely is quite a challenge for many people who just like started shifting at home, and they are unable to really see their colleagues every day, and it's difficult for a lot of people to collaborate and then be like present in the way that they were present before.
Yes.
Even though there is a lot of online platforms you can use for like meetings and chatting with each other, but they a lot of people are facing the difficulty and feeling the isolation and not being able to collaborate properly with their teammates, which is one of the biggest challenge that a lot of companies are going to face, because a pandemic like COVID is going to change things for a long time. I think
Mm.
it's going to take a lot of time, and also because of this pandemic, there's too much changes happening around us, and it happened too fast that people
Yes.
are not really prepared for it.
Mm.
Many people may have thought like maybe we have to do online training classes just for like a month or so,
Yes.
or then we will
Yes.
go back to universities and
Yes.
we're going to do that. Now that is not happening, and due to which like teachers are facing how to be in, like keep their students engaged. Teachers who are used to of teaching like in a classroom manners where they actually there's like 50 people sitting and they teach and then they interact differently, then now they're teaching online, and how you can make the online sessions more engaging, and how you can make your online conversations, your online meetings, or even HR trainings. Like recently we have we're working on something with one of the company of their like creating their training
Yes.
gamification and their training modules for their HR department for their all their organizational needs. So one of the biggest challenges, like since we were working it before the pandemic, and now
Mm.
that it becomes even serious challenge, that how they're going to keep engaging their employees, how they're going to track that if their employees are learning things that they need to learn, and how they're going to even like keep the outlook on a bigger picture of that, how they're going for the longer time, how this
Mm.
can keep going. So I mean, simple video lectures can give you a lot of information, but it's not as like doing a
Engaging.
collaborative training when you're
Yes.
sitting in a training room, you're working with people, and you're working in teams and groups, and how that's gonna work. While you want to bring that kind of collaboration, and you also want to promote teamwork, and you want to see how your colleagues, while even they are isolated, they're sitting at home or they're away from each other, but they should be able to collaborate, and all these learnings
Yes.
has like really has a big importance in for every
Yes.
organization's need for trainings. So what we are designing right now is like gamified trainings, and which is like micro learning tools, using micro learning tools basically. So dividing your bigger learning goals into micro learnings, and where you can actually design a different set of games, and different set of gamified versions of like different simple games. I mean, games can be, it's not it just for different audience, because
Mm.
every audience are not going to actually learn in the same way, and there is no solution which one size fit for all either. So many organization where they have staff which is not very much educated, or very not very familiar with technology, so they'll be facing even more challenges. For example, training a guard how they are going to perform their security during when this person is entering into building, how they
Yes.
have to check every person, and now they have to do this digitally, because they cannot like do this physical trainings. Now if they are creating it like virtually in terms of maybe animations or maybe video tutorial, but there's still going to be lack of people understanding the technology, and then you can't assess if the person has really
Yes.
understood what you have told them.
Yes.
So all these things are, so all these challenges we are trying to solve it through gamified like learning, and
Mm.
dividing those learning into
Yes.
different goals that they want to achieve from that, and the matrix that you have to measure. And we're hoping that it's going to be really amazing project, and we have been working this on for over one
Mm.
year,
Mm.
and we have seen pretty good results, and
Mm.
we're pretty excited about these
Mm.
kind of practices. But I think this is a very exciting time, because people were very reluctant to technology, and we have experienced this firsthand while we talk to our clients and we work with the, like, higher managements of our clients, and they are very reluctant to actually induce technology in everything. But now this is just like becomes a need of everybody, so everybody has to be familiar with the technology, and everybody, this is what becomes the need of everyone, so they have to do it.
I think one of the things that you mentioned, which is very impressive, is how do we evaluate? And in the morning, I was in a session where I was talking to HR practitioners, and I was saying the hardest part for being in HR is to evaluate any training program. And I think with virtual reality and all the technology that is coming in, especially with gamification, if you have the kits ready where you can actually do like learning by doing, all those methodologies put in place using gamification, and you can create like a virtual reality where people can do the same things and be able to, you can evaluate whether they're doing the right gestures that you want them to do, or their behavior is actually changing. So that's amazing insight. So I think follow up of this question, what would you advise the youth? I know we don't want to touch into Pakistan's technology industry as such, because we know it's a very, very amazing industry to be working in at this point in time. Some of the challenges that I think I would face, I'm not asking you for any comments on this, but every time that we make a bid as a Pakistani, we also need to create a very positive image of ourselves, especially me coming from, you've traveled the globe, you've been into to US. So I'm just opening, I'm just saying as a Pakistani, as a representative, that we really need to up our game, and we really need to what are the challenges is that we need to deliver on what we say. So taking that in mind, what do you think what would you advise the youth entering into the industry now? What kind of skill sets, like when you're hiring, when you want to have an internee, what are the things that you're looking at? मतलब कौन सी ऐसी capability है, कौन सी ऐसी capacity है, apart from the CV? And I've said that out a lot of the times, when as CEOs or MDs are looking at the CV, it's only 5%. So what is the 95% that people like you are looking for?
So it's a very amazing thing. So well, I totally agree with you. I think there's 5% CV, and that's rest of these things. There's a lot of other things that we want to know about the person you want to work with. And first of all, I want to talk about the youth who's getting into the industry right now. So especially for the game industry, I think it's a very good opportunity because lots of people are going to be at home. Lots of people will need something to pass their time, to be engaged in video games, and a lot of technology related apps, and maybe websites, anything that can provide them some engaging element, or even the engaging learning. I've seen a lot of like huge boost of people taking online tutorials and learning and playing games and all these things. So it's actually a good time to get yourself entering into this technology field. But it's not just like entering technology in Pakistan. It's actually the good time to actually enter in technology globally as well. And many companies are hiring actually worldwide, because now there is no, many companies are not going back to their offices. And I read a news that Google's employees are going to be working from home for the rest of the entire year. So imagine that, like, there is the impact is long time. So that's, you have an opportunity not just in Pakistan but worldwide. But one of the biggest challenge that we face every day is people are not being professional. So sometimes people do not understand the value of writing a cover letter or writing an email properly. That is the first impression that you get. Nobody opens the CV first. First, they open the email and then they read it. If you don't write anything in the email, you're not getting the job.
Right.
So it's very simple, because
I think a very simple and good point. Very simple, yes. आगे बताएं आप, what else would you think after that?
And the second thing is, like, if you like end up writing a good email and let us know that why exactly you want to like really apply for this job, and why you want to like be a part of our company, you will get an interview. And then if you get an interview, you should be able to tell what is your future goals. If you can't tell, if your future goals is just like be in a bigger organization, that's not future goals. You have to be really clear about future
Yes.
goals, because company wants to hire employees when they're the career so to the employees which has the goals which align with the company goals as well.
Amazing.
Because
Amazing.
if you have a totally different goal, so for example, if you know, and during the interview you tell me that you actually want to write a book, and you want to be a famous author, and you want to run your own company, or you want to just go abroad next year, then that's not in my that does not align with my goals. So maybe
Sure.
you won't get the job in my company. And
Yes.
another thing which is very important for me, apart from the career goals, is to actually understand, see that if the person is really understand which job they are applying for
Yes.
which company they are applying for, and what exactly they want to do in our company. Because if you just see the job title and apply for the job, that means you didn't understand the company, you didn't understand what we are doing, you don't understand if our company's culture or environment is really good for you, or
Yes.
is this will help you to learn as well, or will it that help you to grow as well. I mean, if you are coming to our company and you want to grow as in your field, and you're coming from a finance and management field, I think I don't really think that my company is growing in finance and management field that much. So
Mm.
what can I offer you? I'm in a game development. Maybe I can offer you a growth in a creative fields, in game design, game development, web development, backend and front end development. There's so many things that I can
Mm.
see
Mm.
that there would be growth in my company. But there's something that you should understand, that as an employee when you are working right now, I do understand one thing, that it's a very desperate time, because
Mm.
many people have gotten laid off, and
Yes.
people are very desperate to get jobs, and it's pretty natural that people wants to go for any opportunity that comes in hand. But
Mm.
at the same time, you don't want to waste your time at a place which does not align with your career, because
Mm.
it's not going to help you in a longer term. So it's better to find an opportunity and take the sacrifice. And I know it's not easy to say for me either, because finding a good employee is not easy either,
Yes.
because
Yes.
we have to review CVs till midnight, sometime like really very late night, 300 plus CVs for one job, 500 CVs for one job, and sometimes people don't even write that what job they're applying for.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so this is one thing. And then this is CV, also your personality and your interest and your hobbies are also very important.
Right.
Sometimes having a good hobbies, having an interest, a good interest, that may also give a good outlook on your personality as well,
Okay.
like what as a person you are. So that is very important as well. So keep all these things in mind when you're giving an interview. I can go on this, it can
Sadia,
another
I want to
hour.
ask you a question. Let's suppose there's someone who has studied an example, like someone who has studied finance but wants to come into the gaming industry. They're very passionate about it, but their parents, let's say, force them to do a degree that they didn't want to. And now, do you think that they have any sort of उर्दू में मैं कहूँगा कोई बहाना उनके पास है कि वो कहें कि जी मेरी अम्मा अब्बा ने ऐसे कह दिया तो मैंने ऐसे कर लिया. Do you think they have a reason to say that, or do you
They
think the
don't
world
even
is
have,
enough
they don't
changed
even
and
need to have this reason. So one of the amazing thing about game industry is like so many people in game industry are not from game field. So
I
many
mean,
people in the game industry are not from technology field either. So you don't have to be from the technology field. You don't have to be like from any specific degree. You can get started. We provide a lot of training programs. So usually when people come from different fields and they have no experience, we enroll them in our game development training programs, game design program, art and animation, whichever the program they want to get in. We
mm,
let them take the training programs, and after hire, we give them the internships, and then with internships after we actually hire them for
mm,
our company. And even if we hire them directly, we still made them go through the entire training
mm,
programs first. So they take the trainings, 3-month trainings for the any job they're
mm,
getting with us, and then once they get trained, then we hire them full time as well.
mm.
So this is one of the thing is like the game development is like it's open to anyone
Mm.
can come.
Amazing.
And to be honest, in our training programs we have people who are like 54-year-old person, and from anywhere. And we do a lot of live trainings and online trainings. So we people from even Faisalabad, from Bahawalpur, somebody who's sitting in a Kiryana, he's a Kiryana store owner from Jhelum and wants to learn game development, is learning with us. And this like such a diverse audience, it's really amazing that a lot of people from diverse audience, and anyone can learn it. So that's something that I really want to say.
Okay, I think we have the points that I've picked up from all of your conversation. I'd like to summarize them and come towards the questions, and we'll see if we have any relevant questions that we want to. So, I think we did talk about the benefits of gamification and technology. Everything is going towards collaboration. We've talked about bite-sized learning and how technology is evolving to actually absorb everything. I think that's what's happening is because of Corona, technology has grown so big that everything is being absorbed in it. And I think your talk has been fundamental to share. The other thing that I liked that you mentioned is that anyone who's from any field, I feel that if someone comes to you and is very passionate, or not just you, but anyone else who's very passionate about working with you, um, initially they would say, okay, I want to learn. And I think the passion to learn comes before anything else, right?
Yeah.
I remember our guest yesterday, Hamad Siddiqui, he did inform that he got a job in British Council. He didn't have a printer, basically. He didn't give an example, but I remember him saying that in one of our trainings, he said that I didn't have a printer, and the only thing that I had was a paper and a pencil. So he actually drew his CV up because his parents didn't have. This is back in probably 20 years or so, or 30 years ago. But he actually drew that up. He made his CV on a pen and paper, and he drew a cover letter, and he posted it to the British Council, and he got a job because he was passionate enough to actually write it. Obviously, he would have drawn it up properly, but there are no excuses anymore. You
Yeah.
need to gear up. You need to gear up for the future, and you can't say that I studied from here, I did this, and I'm. It's all inside you. You need to. I think as you've mentioned, I'm just reiterating what you've said. You need to be passionate enough to be learning. If someone who is 54 years old and is working with you clearly identifies that we as Pakistanis have great talent, it's just a matter of you finding your purpose and passion in life. uh, so let me check if we have any comments. Apologies for that. And the last question that I will ask you before we head over to the questions. So apart from that, any other specific skill that you feel in the future will be required by employees? Anything relevant to technology? Apart from that, not just even technology, कोई ऐसी skill होगी that you feel will be very relevant in the future?
Well, there's long list of very essential skills in the future. As you know that, like automation is really high in each and every industry, and when everything is getting automated, well, if you're finance and accounting, there's software tools to do finance and accounting. If everything is available online, so more human resource and powers are like human resource will, like, we will need less and less human resource to do the work. There's many things that even in the many industries, like the machines are started doing human work now, the robots are doing a lot of work. So that means that a lot of human resources getting less and less. That means you now humans, as a human and a person, you need to be stay updated with the technology in whichever field you are. You should be staying updated, like where the technology is going, and keep yourself updated with that. And secondly, most, since everything, like so many things that are replaceable by, like human with technology, they can replace humans with technology. At the same time, there are some skills that cannot be replaceable, that, and those are the skills that we should be really focused on. So for example, leadership, the leadership trainings, and the people who should have the leadership skills and the teamwork. And I would say there's one another important skill, especially in our game field, is creativity. Puts in whose
Amazing.
creativity, you can't replace the creativity with the
Yes.
machine. So you should be able to
Yes.
be
Right.
creative, be able to think out of the box, should be able to understand the bring the new ideas to the table, And there's a long list of the soft skills. Basically, I
Yes.
would like to say
So
that
it's
these
a
are the
soft
soft
skill.
skills that is really
Amazing.
really
Amazing.
important.
So we just to let the viewers know, we do have a training tomorrow, same time, on soft skills. And just to one of the questions that kind of probably intrigues me, that you have been very successful at, and this is a question that I want to ask, and then we can go towards the conclusion.
Yeah.
Um, is how did you create your personal brand? Did it just evolve? And do you think, Sadia Bashir is a brand? You understand that more than anyone else. And I feel that a lot of the time, before we started rolling, we can't ask you a lot of questions, because you have a big fraternity or a community that reads and looks at your work. So how do you feel in the next generation? How can people become, is it important to become a personal brand? Should you become a personal brand? And what kind of initiatives did you take? Could you give the audience, and especially students that are coming out? I'm not talking about the personal brands where people are going on Facebook and making, doing selfie videos and stuff, but I'm talking about real learning brands. And I'm talking, we were just the other day, I was seeing a comment on Facebook, is when you create a personal brand, you're actually encouraging other people to be like you, right? So I think that comes out. The reason for inviting you today is because you are actually motivating other females to come into technology. So how do we go about creating that personal brand? Any
So
suggestions?
one thing that is like, to create your personal brand, you have to be really true to yourself. And it's something really very difficult for so many people, because to be yourself and to be what you are, you may have a lot of flaws in you as well. And there are so many things you learn with the time. But if you stay honest and you stay true to your like ambitions and ideas, and you be open about it and speak the truth of your ideas and your visions, you should be able to achieve your own brand. And it is very important in these days of time. Like, there, for example, there are so many people in every field.
Hmm.
You, if you want to be a leader, then you should have a vision where you want to lead, why you want to lead, and why you should be leading. So you should have first have all these answer to yourself. Why I want to lead, I have my reasons. So when I was growing up, as a young girl in my family, I didn't see a lot of women leading in any field, because
Hmm.
I'm from very humble background. And I've seen mostly women getting married, and I haven't seen any, not even like guys, not even a lot of guys were leading in that, especially in technology field.
Yes.
And when I started my job, and when I started getting more exposure of the outer world through internet, and started like attending a lot of events and starting seeing other women, that really encouraged me, and that really made me feel like that I can do it. And this
Hmm.
is the reason that I want to do, and I want to lead, and I want to be in for it. It doesn't matter what others says, but I want to really really encourage a lot of women, and I want to be on the front face and tell people that yes, you can be a game developer, yes, you can be in a technology field and be a woman. If be a woman cannot stop you to do anything. And it's reason because it's my personal reason, because I didn't have any person to look up to, and and I want everybody to look up to me, and I want to help them as much as I can. I'm not saying I'm the best and I'm the I'm the only person,
Yes.
but I want to say that I want to play my part, and not
Amazing.
just like for other women, but within my family as well,
Amazing.
for my kids as well, for my uh, sisters kids as well, for everybody. I want to see them as and I don't want to them to see that, oh, there is no women in our family who's doing successfully in their careers or anything. They will say, oh no, there is women. And that happened. A lot of our family, girls and a lot of like kids, they started looking up to me. And then the parents started telling that you have to study like Sadia Baji. So that's like something that
Amazing.
really changed in my family. So
Amazing.
that's what I like.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Sadia Bashir. You are a true visionary. MashaAllah. May Allah give you more success. And I think I'm motivated, highly motivated after talking to you. I think we really need people like yourselves, especially from, I'd say, Southeast Asia, not just Pakistan, because we're from the same blood. I've been with Indians, I've been with Bengalis, I've been with even Chinese people. We're all from the same race. We need to be visionaries. We need to understand ourselves. Initially, we started off with mental fitness, then we went to passion and looking at careers, and now I think Sadia has really summed up the importance of being flexible, understanding technology, and to be able to understand yourself, have a vision where you want to go. And I think I'd want to end with this. Maulana Rumi, who's a very famous scholar, says that when you walk the path appears. And I think Sadia would exactly be, would be would क्या कह सकते हैं, would understand this concept, because as entrepreneurs we do take a leap of faith. Sometimes we don't know what's going to happen on the other side, but we're always positive. If we can make an impact, if we can create an impact, and other people will follow, even when we're not there. And I think that is what creates this legacy that you leave behind, whether you're here on this earth, because we're all here for a certain amount of time, and especially with the COVID, you're never sure what's going to happen next. But thank you so much, Sadia, for joining us. Amazing pleasure for you, pleasure to be here. Thank you, the audience. And if you have any questions, feel free to join Sadia. Sadia, can you tell us what is the best platform to reach you before we end?
I think Twitter is the best platform to reach me out. If you want, I can provide my Twitter handle in the comments, and you can leave it for the people so that they can reach out
Yes,
to me.
certainly. If you can just write it on the comments, and I will be able to.
So yeah, I sent you my Twitter handle. That's fine.
Okay. It is Sadia_Bashir at Sadia_Bashir1. I will also leave it here in the ticker. Just a second. So basically, it is scrolling now. I will let you know. So this is Sadia_Bashir1. This is the Twitter handle.
Yes.
You'll have to write @. I'll just be talking about tomorrow. Thank you. Tooth. My interruption is it? It's a tooth. Wow, it's a tooth. So my tooth. Wow. So before I end today's show, tomorrow we will be talking about skills. What is the importance of skills? And we'll be continuing talking about. Sadia has also mentioned leadership. We'll also be taking that towards corporate entrepreneurship, and later we will be talking about. I've got interruptions, so I'll excuse everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you,
Thank
Sadia.
you so much. Thank you, Nadeem.
Assalamu alaikum.